All information in this program is known to be accurate at the time of recording. Any commentary by the host is for discussion purposes only. Anyone labeled a person of interest by the host or family has not been charged with a crime. All suspects charged with crimes related or unrelated to a case covered are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Opinions and views expressed by the host do not represent views of the families or sponsors of this program. In the U.S., there are over 600,000 missing persons cases reported each year. Many go unnoticed by the general public and are not covered by the media or investigated by law enforcement. Here is just one of these stories. From Grim Media, I'm your host, Steve Stone, and this is the Grim Truth Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Steve Stone, host of the Grim Truth Podcast. So glad you're watching this video. If you're not familiar with what we do, I profile missing persons cases. Try to give the men and women that we cover here a voice, their families, tell the stories of the individuals, what happened in the last minutes before they went missing, and advocate for them. These are cases that mainstream media will not cover, and sometimes law enforcement have a hard time giving their best effort in locating them. These are people that might come from the wrong side of the tracks, might have a stigma attached to them with like mental illness or drug addiction or a combination of all three. And they deserve a voice, and that's what we try to do. So if this is something you could get behind and support and even just share these stories to get them out to the public, I urge everyone to subscribe to the Grim Truth Podcast YouTube channel. You hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Grim Truth Podcast or any other content related to the missing, updates on cases, and so forth. Make sure you leave us a like and comment down below. We really want our viewers to participate in what's going on. Excuse me. Leave a comment down below, but subscribe, share, and get it out to the public. Let's get into the video today. Jeremy Wayne Sirkel went missing on May the 13th, 2017, at the age of 24. He was 5'9", 195 pounds. He had dyed blonde hair at the time, brown eyes. We covered part one, episode 38, part one, back in October of last year. And this case is just, it breaks my heart, and it's sad because a lot of stuff that was going on in Jeremy's life, he just could not control, and things were just going out of control. He was staying with a relative who I believe, in my opinion, was getting him mixed up in things he did not want to get mixed up in, including methamphetamine and things of a sexual nature that you just don't do to family. Again, I want, if you haven't done so, I'm going to leave a card up above. Check out episode 1 before you listen to this episode, because you're not going to be able to catch on to what's going on. But I talked to Jeremy's mom, and she laid out a lot of what was going on with Jeremy. And Jeremy had been in trouble, was on probation for something that he did when he was staying out there in Cleveland, Texas. And he ended up wanting to come home. He went out there because he wanted to, get out on his own and do what 18-year-olds do, try to live their life. But he started getting caught up in things that I think that he just wasn't ready to handle. And a lot of that has to do with really two people. One of them is, I believe it was his sister, and that's Terri Enriquez. She really is a catalyst in what happened to Jeremy. She was controlling, manipulative, among many others. She also suffers from an addiction, and this was just a perfect storm for things to become completely unhinged. The other individual is a friend of both Terri and ended up being a friend of Jeremy's, and that's Robert Jeffcoat. Now, this gentleman is totally off the grid, off the radar, and we're going to get into why here in a bit. I want to take you back to when we talked to Jeremy's mom, and as we go into more about some of the things that were going on right before Jeremy's disappearance, and then we're going to get into an interview we did with Terri. So without further ado, let's hear from Jeremy's mom. Take a listen.
The 12th of May, the night before, it was on Friday. It was on a Friday. Robert Jeffcoat told me all this, which Terri tried to deny it, but she couldn't deny it because it was already, she let stuff slip out where I knew it was true. I didn't want to believe Robert Jeffcoat, but he told me that Friday, him and Jeremy and Terri had been out, and they rented Terri wanted to rent a motel room, so they rented a motel room. I don't know where at. I don't know if it was most likely in Shepherd or Livingston. He didn't say, but he said that they wanted a party, and he couldn't take them to his mama's house because he was staying with his mama. He was a grown man, but he was staying with his mama. And I asked what went on in the motel room, and he was telling me detailed he told me everything. And Terri was wanting to do drugs. Robert said, "I swear I didn't make Jeremy do nothing." He said Terri kept telling him, and he kept telling Terri no, because I promised my mama I'd never touch nothing like no kind of drugs or nothing like that. And so she kept on pushing and pushing. Well, I guess Robert said he decided to go ahead and try it that once. And then I said, well, what else went on? And then this is all what Robert Jeffcoat told me. He said that he told Terri, you can't make your brother do that. That's your brother. Why are you wanting him to do that? And she was wanting him to do something with both of them. She was forcing Jeremy into doing something with both of them.
Are you talking about forcing him to do something sexually with her and Robert?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And Robert Jeffcoat said, he said that he told me all that detail, and when I brought it up to Terri, she was trying to deny it, but then she let stuff slip out. She let stuff slip out about a motel, and that's when I seen that she was lying about it. And Robert Jeffcoat said that's everything that went on that Friday, and that's before Jeremy come up missing.
It has been my opinion that only two people really know what happened to Jeremy, and that's going to be Terri, his half-sister, keep that in mind, and then Robert Jeffcoat. Those are the only two that I fully believe know what happened to Jeremy. Jeremy goes on this trip with Robert, which we're going to get into here in this next segment, in a van, and they're out there for days, several days. So we're told. The one thing I want to clarify, though, is Robert is telling Teresa, Jeremy's mom, that Terri, his half-sister, is getting him into all kinds of stuff, and that Robert's being Jeremy's advocate. No. He can't do that. Why are you making your brother do that? and these allegations that Miss Enriquez was getting Jeremy to do things of an incestual nature while under the influence of methamphetamine. Just to understand, Robert Jeffcoat ain't talking to nobody. He hasn't talked to me. My opportunities to reach out to him, they've gone unanswered. And a private investigator who we'll get to later, pretty much said that he's in a hole and he ain't coming out. The pressure will be on Terri, and when you listen to her interview, and the problems that I had with her, you're going to see the case starts to frame out for you. You start to see where the kinks in the armor are. But in this next segment, we're going to get to the day in question and the things that Teresa was told about this adventure, quote unquote, mudding, going out with just Jeremy and Robert Jeffcoat. Take a listen to this.
Okay, so obviously there's a lot of weird stuff going on. So,
yes.
So I'm reading here that it appeared that Jeremy and Robert went mudding on Oil Shell Road, which I guess that's a mudding spot out there outside of Cleveland.
Yeah, it's I've been past because I lived off of 1725 several times, but I've never been. I never knew it had a oil field road out there because Sean Martin, he lives down there, and he's the one who was doing he's on first priority search and recovery team, and he said you can't see nothing from the road. I mean, they're on 1725 where they went back off in there. Said it's they don't even see how he even got the truck back in there. Because usually you had to have them ATV, had to have a four-wheeler or something like that in order to be able to get back there.
What kind of vehicle were they driving?
It was an Escalade. Or that's what I was told. It was the Escalade.
Do we know whose vehicle that was that they were supposedly using?
It's supposed to be his, but he had his dad, because after his dad, I was told all this too. After his dad passed away, he gave his dad's truck, and I don't know what kind of truck. They kept it in a shed, so I don't know what kind of truck it was. But I know they said they were in a Escalade, but I don't really know for sure.
So they got stuck in this area and both went to sleep. Jeremy supposedly slept in the back of the vehicle. Robert slept in the front. Robert's first story stated that he slept for 2 days and then he woke up.
Well, no, he told me that he told me that normally when he's up for days, had been up for 2 or 3 days doing the drugs and stuff, he said that most of the time he sleeps 2 or 3 days when he's coming down off of it. He sleeps for 2 or 3 days. So, but he told me that he woke up. That's where it caught me, because he said he woke up at 9 o'clock that next morning, and I was thinking, well, he already said that he when he's coming off of drugs, he sleeps for 2 or 3 days, and then he after Jeremy come up missing and I talked to him, he said he woke up at 9 o'clock that next morning, that Sunday morning, and looked in the back seat, and Jeremy wasn't there.
So, Robert Jeffcoat and Jeremy Wayne Sirkel are on a trail and they're hanging out, they mudding, partying, whatever. They're on this trail and surrounded by woods. There's a picture here, if we can just pull that up here. So this is what it kind of looked like. Now, I don't know if I'm buying the mudding story. I don't know if it gets, dirty and I mean, I'm sure if it rained a lot, it could get that way. I don't know the exact weather that was going on the day that they got stuck out there. But what I have a problem with is the story. The story is that they went to sleep. Now, Robert Jeffcoat proclaims that when he's doing dope, meth, he's doing his drugs, he sleeps for days on end. And that is true. It is a common thing if you're doing meth for several days. One of the side effects is it keeps you up. And when you come down off of it, you'll go night-night. You'll take a nap. You'll be in a recovery coma, and you're sleeping. Now, here's my problem. You're out here, you're stuck. Everybody goes to sleep in this whether it's an Escalade or a some believe it might have been another type of SUV. They go to bed, and then all of a sudden Robert wakes up and Jeremy's gone. Now, here's the problem. What you're about to hear, and comment down below, what you're about to hear is, see if you catch it. I'll let you listen to this brief clip. See if you catch it. We'll come back and we're going to talk about it. Listen to what Robert Jeffcoat does next.
Well, he said he called a family friend to about because he had his phone. He said he called a family friend to come and help him get his truck out of the mud. And I never did find out who his family friend was.
I don't know who the family friend was either, but please comment down below. If you wake up, albeit in a haze, probably from doing lots of drugs, if you wake up and you're out in the middle of nowhere, okay, your first order of business is to call somebody and get your truck out. And why didn't you guys do that? I mean, why wasn't that done the night before? This is what doesn't make sense to me. Is you're stuck on this dirt road by all intents and purposes. You're stuck. Your buddy, a friend of yours, supposedly, is hanging out with you. You guys go to sleep, according to Robert Jeffcoat, and he's gone. Jeremy's gone, and your first order of business is, well, I'm gonna get my truck out. Not, hey man, where's Jeremy? Maybe go out the car and call out, hey Jeremy. I'm sure he had Terri Enrique's number, right? I mean, he could have called and see if Jeremy made it back, or if he had called her, but that didn't happen. And, maybe she wouldn't have answered the phone, because as we segue into to Terri's part of this, we had a hard time getting a hold of her too. Now, granted, we're trying to find out what happened to her half brother, whom she had tried to have just domineering control over. And Jeremy was 18. He was legally an adult. But we tried getting a hold of her, and this is what it sounded like, trying to get a hold of Terri Enriquez.
793-624 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Terri Enriquez. This is Steve Stone, the journalist looking into the disappearance of the young man from Texas, Jeremy Wayne Sirkel. I really need to talk to you about a couple of things. If you can give me a call back at this number, 321. Again, 321. Very important that you get in contact with me. Again, I'm looking into the disappearance of the young man, and I have some questions for you. And Jesse as well, if you're still with him. Look forward to talking to you. Have a wonderful day.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system. 83257933624 is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up or press 1 for more options.
Terry, Steve Stone again. Trying to touch base with you. Give me a call back. Thank you.
So, Steve, why are you putting out voicemails of nobody answering the phone? Transparency is key into what I do, and furthermore, just a caveat to this whole mess was several other people tried getting in touch with this woman, and not going into too much detail, it was phone tag for 3 days. Finally, I was able to get in contact with her late one afternoon, and I was like, man, I need to talk to this woman. So here is my interview with Terri Enriquez, the half-sister of Jeremy Wayne Sirkel, and I'll let you judge for yourself. Take a listen.
I guess I'm talking to get your phone off your toilet.
Okay, no worries. So, I got some questions I'd like to ask regarding Jeremy's disappearance. So, I just want to get right down to it. What was going on around the time before he disappeared?
Before he had disappeared?
Yeah, what was going on in his life? He was living with you, right?
Well, he was going back and forth. He used to live with his mother until he come and lived with me.
Okay.
And, he was a good boy. I mean, wasn't nothing wrong with my brother. I mean, he was playing to everybody, you know. He played his music and played, everything, you know, and he would just stay to himself.
So, what were the events that led up to his disappearance?
I really don't know. He said that he wanted to go meet some new friends, and, you know, I couldn't keep him in the house, you know. Then he ran into that guy named Robert Jeffcoat. And they went out to eat, and he took him to go and meet some new friends, I guess, and then he brought him back. And then all of a sudden, you know, I mean, because my brother was alcoholic, and I couldn't keep no beer away from him, because he would get mad and then he would want to fight and argue.
So, was he with Robert Jeffcoat the day he disappeared?
Apparently, yes.
Do you know where they were at?
Apparently they was on 1725. It's supposed to have been mudded out there. Out there on 1725. And then that's when they got stuck out there. Said that my brother fell asleep like for 5 hours, 5 days. And then he told my mother and he covered up my brother with a blanket. And then all of a sudden he told my mother that Jeremy got out of the car and walked to Clark's liquor store and got him a bottle of whiskey at 10 o'clock at night. I'm telling you, sir, where I live right next door to the Clark's liquor store. And the Clark's liquor store closes at 9 o'clock, or 9:30 or 10. And there ain't no way my brother can walk from way down there in the bottom of the woods and get up towards my way. Because if I would have knew that if he was at Clark's liquor store, the owners would have called me right then and there, telling me my brother was there. Which he was not there. And he fled to Louisiana. He fled to Louisiana when everything happened.
So I want to back up a minute. So when he went out with Jeffcoat, you said that he brought him back. Was that a different day, or was that how's that work?
Well, yeah, he brought him back after they went and had dinner and everything else, you know. But I mean, I didn't think Robert Jeffcoat was going to do anything to my brother, because he promised me and my husband that he would never hurt my brother or harm my brother.
Why would he have a reason to hurt your brother?
Because that guy was retarded and crazy. I mean, he was on methamphetamines. He was on dope, major drugs.
Okay, so when he brought your brother back, did he go back out with your brother and do something else?
Apparently, that's what happened. I mean, I looked and looked all day, looked all night, looked all morning. I ain't seen my brother.
What is really odd, and I find completely it doesn't make sense, is she's talking about he wanted to go meet new friends, and one of them, I'm assuming, is Robert Jeffcoat, who's much older than he is. And then Terri talks about, I guess they went out somewhere and then came back, and then they go off again to go mudding, if you will. I don't know, and again, when people suffer from addiction and those types of things, it obviously can be difficult for them to get their thoughts in order, what have you. I don't know if she's mixing this up with a different timeline. Either way, Robert and Jeremy take off, and they go off to this area that we highlighted, 1759, I believe, or it's this road here in the woods. And then she says that Jeffcoat explains to him, or to her, that he covered him up and then he's gone. But here's the problem with what she's telling me. Then she then is going to say that at some point Jeffcoat tells her that he dropped Jeremy off at a friend's house. We're going to hear this. In this next segment you're going to listen to, Jeremy is supposedly contacted his sister after he went missing. Now, this is news to me, and I really don't remember talking to his mother about this, but if you listen to this next segment, you're going to hear about a conversation she had with her brother, and comment down below if you think that this makes sense to you. Take a listen.
So when you find out your brother is missing, what happens next?
I mean, I got scared, and I didn't know what else to do but call 911 and get help.
And did the cops show up at your house? Where'd they show up at?
Yeah, the cops showed up at my house. And they took a report, and which supposedly went out there on 1725, and supposedly they couldn't find any evidence or nothing in his truck or hair or clothing or anything. But my brother was wearing a blue polo shirt and white Nike shorts and white socks and white Nike shoes that my husband gave him. I mean, he was dressed nice and decent and everything, and all of a sudden he turned around and told me, "Sissy, don't worry about it. I'm in good hands and I love you. I'll be back." Well, he never did come back.
Did you ever talk to Mr. Jeffcoat and ask him what happened?
He told me that he dropped my brother off at some friends and don't worry about it, he's okay. And my brother has never said that kind of words. I'm okay, I'm in good hands. Never, ever said that kind of words until somebody coached him to say that.
When he said that he dropped them off with some friends, did he say where he dropped them off at?
No. He said, "Don't tell my sister, don't tell nobody where you dropped me off at." Until on Saturday morning, when I got a phone call, and he told me, "Sissy, I'm on my way home between 7:30 and 8. Don't worry about it. I'll be there. Just look up and down the roads and watch for me. Do you have breakfast and cigarettes and a beer on the table for me?" I said, "Yes, I do, Bubba." "Where are you at?" "I'm worried. I'm going to come out and look for you." "Well, no, you don't need to come out and look for me. I'll be there. Just hang on. Just stay there at the end of the street and look for me up and down the street." And that's when I got the phone call from my mother. Yes, until that night, my brother run down to the house and told me and my husband, Jesse Valdez, that Robert had some cocaine, and he asked Jeremy, "Do this. If you don't do this, I'm going to hit you and push you off the porch and give you a black eye." Well, my brother come back down and told us what happened. And I was about to run up there so quick and told my brother to stay home. And I was going to go and get that man. I would have went and got that man, my brother.
How long?
They didn't have a black eye.
How long were they out there on that road? Was it a day, 2 days, 3 days?
Oh my God, it's like 5 days.
5 days?
Yes. I mean, my brother has never been gone with somebody that long that he hardly didn't even know. And he told my mother he fell asleep in the back seat. And when Robert Jeffcoat crawled in the front seat and he looked back and Jeremy's eyes was closed. And you don't just cover up nobody with a blanket. You're supposed to call 911 and get help, but he did not do that.
Wait, so...
You don't let nobody sleep for 5 days over meth. What have you done to my brother?
So
whatever you did to my brother.
Did you assume from your conversation with Mr. Jeffcoat that your brother had been dead?
No.
When you say he covered him up with a blanket, are you like covering him up because so he doesn't get cold, or covering him up because he's deceased?
I really don't know at the time, sir.
But what he
told my mother that, Jeremy just got in the back seat and put the seat back, and his eyes was closed, and Robert Jeffcoat got out and covered up with a blanket. And sir, it was in the summertime. How can you cover somebody up? And it was hot.
The interview I did with Terri Enriquez would be confusing if I wasn't following her. And I do believe that there are intersecting timelines that she's getting confused. But the one thing that she said that was stunning to me was, first, the story that her brother supposedly left the van to go get alcohol. That was quite a bit of ways from where they were on this trail mudding. And then I want to go back to the comments about covering Jeremy up. Now, she initially says in there that Jeremy was covered up, and you don't cover up anybody for 5 days, right? I press her on that a little bit, and I double back and I ask her, well, do you think that he's, that he was covered up because he was deceased? And then no, I don't think that. I don't think that. But then she doubles down again later on and discusses it like Jeremy's dead because of it being covered up. The one interesting part in the very beginning of our interview is she describes Jeremy in the past tense. And my philosophy is on a missing person is, unless you have evidence or proof or any other feeling in your gut, you believe everyone to be alive until they are proven to be otherwise not. And in Jeremy's case, Terri refers to him in the past tense. And then this ongoing theory with the blanket. I don't know if this is something she knows or something she's been told or what's going on, but it doesn't make sense. Comment down below if it makes any sense to you. Robert Jeffcoat obviously is, in my opinion, someone that we have to. He's obviously a person of interest. He's the last one to see him. Doesn't make any sense to me that he doesn't know what happened. The other thing too is Terri, and saying that she heard it from her brother. She made comments about people not finding any hair or clothing. I found that to be disturbing. So in this final segment, we were able to have a brief conversation with the private investigator that looked into this case, and we talked about Robert Jeffcoat, and here it is. My main question is, I've been trying to track down this guy that was supposed to be either last saw him or was
Robert Jeffcoat.
Right. So now I heard that he lawyered up. Is that correct?
Yes.
So he's not going to talk to anybody regarding the case?
Let me put it this way. According to the San Jacinto County detective, he lawyered up. I don't know that that's true or not. The San Jacinto County will lie to you in a heartbeat. He's in Robert Jeffcoat's in the College Station area. I do know that. But as far as I've talked to his mom and his brother, and they're not trying to talk to anyone.
Is he like, he's not incarcerated anywhere? He's free? He's roaming around?
Yeah, he's roaming around. He goes to his mom's on the holidays.
The grim truth about what happened to Jeremy is, one, Robert Jeffcoat has a lot of answers and a lot of knowledge. Whether he did anything to Jeremy or not, he still has a lot of knowledge that we need to find Jeremy. As it goes with his half-sister, Terri, I want to firmly believe that she is confusing some timelines, excuse me, when it comes to Jeremy and his coming and going. With all that being said, I believe she knows more. And the reason why I say that is I can't get over the fact that she's talking about this blanket and Jeremy being covered up. I can't get over the fact that when I pressed her on it, she couldn't tell me whether he might have been asleep or there was some kind of foul play that took place and he was covered. And then she doubles down and comes back to this covering up, and something might have happened. We don't know. But I want to say that maybe clarity is not something that she has obtained because of some substance abuse. But she also, I think, has answers, and we need to get those answers when she's clear in her head and she's not using those substances. I think that it's preventing her from differentiating from what might be reality or a different timeline. I do believe, though, that she knows a lot more than she's stating. Robert Jeffcoat knows a lot more, and we need to find these answers. The bottom line is that we have a mother who is looking for her son, and I mean, doggone, since 2017, this young man is nowhere to be found, and somebody knows, and we need to help find this young man and also find out the people that may know something. Jeremy Wayne Sirkel went missing on May 13th, 2017. He was 24 years of age. He's 5'9". He weighs 195 pounds. His hair was dyed blonde at the time. He has natural brown hair and brown eyes. Jeremy has the word F-U-C-K tattooed on the back of his neck. He also has a mole in between his eyes, scars on his arms and hands from a past infection. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Jeremy Wayne Sirkel, please contact Detective Keene at 936-653-4367. That's 936-653-4367. You can also reach our tip line, the Grim Truth Podcast tip line, 321-343-4972. Again, it's 321-343-4972. As always, you can remain anonymous. You can also reach me at The Grim Truth on Facebook. I want to thank Jeremy's mom, Teresa, for her patience. As we covered Jeremy's case back in October of last year, here is the part 2. I dare to say that there's more than likely going to be a part 3 as we dig in deeper to this. But check out part 1 if you haven't done so. It'll be in the pinned comments. Description will be there. I want to thank again her very much for her patience and understanding as we took a while for us to get to the second part of his case, and we need to do something to find this young man. We need to get answers, and if anybody has any information, please contact the numbers that I just mentioned to you. I also want to let you guys know, if you want to help be a part of the podcast, you want to be a producer, you want to help the program, you can do it by going to my Patreon page. That's www.patreon.com. Search for myself, Steve Stone. Become a producer. Just as little as $3 a month. You can help produce the podcast. Your donations go to the podcast, helps pay the bills, helps keep the podcast running, and your name will be at the credits at the end of every podcast, and it's grateful. But if you can't do that, fine too. You can subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the Grim Truth Podcast YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Grim Truth Podcast or any other content related involving the missing and any news related to other cases that we've covered in the past. Make sure you leave us a like and comment down below. That does help the YouTube algorithm. Again, thank you so very much for tuning into this episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Steve Stone, and this has been the Grim Truth Podcast. God bless.